Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Liam, and right now I'm looking at the interview that I did with Sean Baker, and we spoke about tinnitus and my recent bout with sickness and all that interesting stuff, and obviously meat, because that's really Sean Baker's thing. The all meat diet, lots of people have been messaging me saying, yeah, I did what you said and I went onto the all meat diet, and I just replied and said I never said to do that. Okay, don't just jump into an all meat diet, you will mess yourself up royally. Take it slow, and I do recommend transitioning into that and seeing where the sort of tipping point is. If you start to, let's say, go 90% meat and 10% plants, you work your way up to that, and then you start to get, your tinnitus gets quieter and quieter. Just stick at that and see where you can go from that and see how far you can take it. I'm not saying that all meat is bad. In my personal opinion, all meat diet is the way to go, but you got to get there slowly, okay? And if you're doing things like cold showers and fasting and all meat at the same time, it's gonna be a rough ride. So do one thing at a time. But what I want to do is I want to read out a comment which actually someone from my Facebook group left on this video, the interview, and I'm just going to read it out to you now, and you can read along with it, okay? One second. Actually, looking at computers all day is turning me blind. Okay, so this is a person commenting on this video I was interviewed, as I said. So please look into it. He's responding to someone else. Please look into it. He saved my life. Talking about me. I got my tinnitus after a concussion, and it was so bad, 8 out of 10 in terms of loudness. I saw 5 ear specialist doctors, so ENTs, who didn't have a solution, and I even became suicidal after about a year of having it because of how loud it was. That's awful. I was in the same boat quite a while ago when I had tinnitus. I finally found Liam about 2 months ago, and after just a little over a month of applying some of his recommendations, my tinnitus is a 1 out of 10. It's almost gone. So just applying some stuff, under 2 months, nearly completely gone. And I also had nerve pain in a spot in the left side of my brain, which was also from the concussion, which was so bad in college that this last fall I had to drop out to 12 units and get a note taker for all my classes. And then in December, I just had to totally drop out because of it. In just a little over a month of applying some of Liam's recommendations, my nerve pain is almost gone too. It kept getting worse and worse. In January, I couldn't even drive anymore because a lot of the little bumps in the road would cause pain. And I couldn't even watch basketball anymore, which is saying a lot because I missed prom with a girl I love in 11th grade to watch Warriors vs Thunder, Game 6. I'm not even sure. I don't know what that is, but basketball, I guess. I think he said. That's a shame. That sucks. Because of the pain, it was so frequent. And now the nerve pain is basically gone, and I've been doing all those things with zero pain again. So that's amazing too. The people have even said to me, I have people who follow me now who say, Liam, I don't even have tinnitus, but I just follow you because your advice is helping me with my other things, blood pressure and anxiety and stuff like that. Which I think that's great. If you can get something out of it, that's amazing. The 2 brain specialists I saw recommended to take medications that desensitize all of my nerves. So that'd be Lyrica or something like that, or pregabalin. And the other one recommended to send electrical shocks to my brain. How stupid. And I like how he's starred out the stupid, or I say fuck all the time without him starting. So thank you for doing that. How stupid. I knew those are both stupid. I kept searching for other ways, and I found Liam. Now keep in mind, I've only been following some of his recommendations for just over a month. He is not lying when he said he's cured over 200 people's tinnitus. You can see a lot of those people's testimonials on his Instagram. And if you join his program, you get access to a private Facebook group where he talks to us frequently. He's a blessing from God, and then you get the point there. But I just wanted to share that with you because I think that's really awesome. You can go and check this out for yourself. The video is Liam Boehm Meet RX, and you'll see me talk to Sean, and he asked about tinnitus and
this sort of septic necrotic tissue.
And that's where we were talking about my bout in Thailand. You can just go through the testimonials, and I do know some of these people because they comment on my channel. And this is quite common here. My ENT shrugged and said, yeah, sometimes tinnitus happens and nothing can be done about it. So I want to just add on to the end of this as well. I think doctors are heroes. I'm not trying to just put that in for no reason. Doctors saved my life. let's put it black and white. If doctors didn't exist and we didn't have the medical technologies that we have today, I would definitely be dead. I would definitely be dead, or I would have lost both hands and both feet, without a doubt. Now, you got to bring into that as well that I was extremely healthy before I got sick, and that probably played a lot of a role too. But that also shows that no matter how healthy you are, we're human, and death can come to us all quite quickly, and as it did for me. Thankfully, I pulled out of that, survived. Thank God for CPR, right? But I think that when you're looking at chronic issues, so acute and chronic, so if you have some sort of acute poisoning, like you drank rat poison, then you're not going to come to me. You're going to go to a doctor, and you should go to a doctor because they're going to be able to help you. They'll have ways to help you, hopefully. When it comes to things like chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease, atherosclerosis, hypertension, blood pressure problems, neck issues, chronic pain, chronic inflammation, sinusitis, things like that, tinnitus, okay, then they're out of their depth, and they really don't know what they're doing simply because they get literally zero nutritional training. And after it stops being acute and moves into the realm of chronic, long-term, so acute is short-term and chronic is long-term, then you go into the realm of, preventative and holistic medicine, which is fundamentally understanding how the body works and how different parts of the body require different nutrition and can be triggered by different things. And then you have to go into the realm of mitochondria as well. And so inside the mitochondria, the doctors don't learn too much about, but they do know a bit about it. But that's the electrical component. They only learn about the chemical component because obviously that's where the pharmaceuticals come into play. And this is another thing. I'm not against drugs at all. I'm really not. But when it comes to pharmaceuticals, some people say, Liam, I'm so angry and I'm so depressed, and I think I might go on clonazepam or Ativan or Zoloft or something cyclical, okay, to go on some sort of cyclical antidepressant. What do you think? And I say, well, look, they definitely can help people, and they do help people. And there's all this stuff about, they're worse and they make things worse long term. And I think they probably might make things worse long term, but obviously I'm not a psychiatrist. But when people I help, they speak to me and said, yeah, like the antidepressant basically saved me because it did help them get that thing in the beginning. So don't be, look at me telling you how to think. But in my opinion, if you're interested, don't be totally against doctors altogether just because some of them are pretty bad people, I would say. They're pretty shocking. But there are some who are great, and the ones who work in the ER and the ICU, which is intensive care unit, which is where I spend most of my time, they're amazing. And the nurses, I fucking love nurses. I've got a newfound respect for nurses, the fact that they are just the best. And my mum's a nurse, and I have friends who are nurses, and girls that I grew up with are now nurses, and they were always the nicest people I grew up with because they love people. And it's generally more women who'll do it because they're more social, and they are the ones who, to be honest, they spend the most time with the patient, and they're going to know what you need. The doctors, honestly, when I was fixed and I was just I was out of ICU in the ward and recovering, the doctors would just phone it in. The nurses call the doctors. So in the Alfred, they get these phones assigned to them, and they can call the different nurses in different wards and stuff, just so it's a bit quicker, which makes a lot of sense. And the doctors barely don't even show up. They just give them a buzz, and the nurse says, look, this is what's happening. He's got these symptoms. Here are his vitals. He's got a bit more pain. I think we should give this. And the nurse will give a suggestion and what she thinks or he thinks that the doctor should do. And I have yet to see a doctor actually take a nurse's advice. Like, I never fucking see it ever, basically. The doctor goes, just do this. And the nurse is like, no, I really think, just do this. And what do you know? It gets a shit result, or it doesn't get the result we want, or it doesn't get as quick enough. Or it just, it's just terrible. I remember there was one doctor. So I found out in Thailand that I was allergic to tramadol. And tramadol is a very strong painkiller, and it causes me to hallucinate in a very vivid and fucking frankly terrifying manner, which is just really scary. Like looking at different things, and my hands were morphing, and the pillows were like snakes moving around, and I just imagined the roof was all covered in mold, and I was shaking, and it was just. And so that's on my file now. And so the nurse was saying to the doctor, the morphine isn't really working for Liam because it's a nerve pain. He doesn't have pain it's not like a stinging pain, it's a zzz electric pain, which is nerve pain. So Lyrica and pregabalin work good for that, and other stuff too. But ketamine is really the go-to, because what it does is it soaks your nerves, and it actually sort of drowns them to a way that they just basically stop firing and stop hurting. And people will come back in every couple of weeks for a drip of ketamine, which is exactly what I did. I had to come back for a drip of ketamine every like week, basically, and a catheter. God, it was just awful. And so that, obviously the doctor, they just try to just push off that stuff and then only give it to you as a last resort, which where in Thailand, they just give you whatever you want. They're like, yeah, I mean, it is Thailand, so, they'll give you, they gave me fentanyl every 3 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. They give you morphine to pump you up with all this different stuff because, there's less liability. But then there's all the liability in the Australian hospitals where they have to always follow this process. So the common sense would say that you skip steps 1, 2 and proceed to 3, but they just go straight up to those things. They skip it. Sorry, they don't skip it, and they start at the bottom, even though it's not appropriate. And I think it's potentially dangerous for the patient, but they're still protected from the way that the law is structured in Australia. Anyway, so a bit of a rant there about that. But don't hate your doctors or your nurses. Some of them are terrible, so it's who am I to tell you how to feel? That's ridiculous. But I hope you got something out of this video. Go and check out this video with Sean Baker and I. It's only an hour long. It's pretty interesting. You'll hear a lot about my story with tinnitus and sickness and how I overcame basically a mystery illness. The doctors still don't know. They couldn't culture anything. They don't know if it was a food poisoning or a tick bite or some sort of tropical disease or what it was. I think it might have been food poisoning, but they didn't even know if it was staphylococcus or strep or some sort of infection or something. But you can go learn about it there. Cool. So I will end the video there.